what's so special about the present moment? Like, I'm here, aren't I? And I completely neglected the fact that my mind could be somewhere different than my physical body in the experiences that I'm having.
Yeah.
And so the present moment is it's mindfulness, a practice of mindfulness of the attention, right? Our attention can be into our thoughts and expending energy into our thoughts, which could be good or it could be a waste of energy. Which for a lot of us is the untrained mind is just wasting energy.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Casper Bilton podcast. And today we're going to talk with my friend Jeff, who lives right now in Mexico. He's a yoga and meditation teacher and expert. And we're just going to dive down into his life story and why it's so important to meditate.
And so my heartbeat plays to your song, and it never gets old. It never gets old. Feel my heart ache when you do me wrong.
All right.
And what are you
Long
doing
time
in
no
Mexico?
see. I'm hanging out. I've got a good community here, good friends. Oh, and let's see. Open this door and show you the mountains.
Yeah, let us see. Oh my God.
So I've got nature. I've got good community. I've got a good climate. And I can work online. So everything's pretty much online for me, but I can do, here, there's some places that I could teach yoga still in person, and I've got some good community in that regard. So I really appreciate that ability to do the live work while still, in the current circumstances. So.
Yeah, that's right. What is this place called?
This park is called La Huasteca.
Yeah.
HuastecA. And the city, which is just outside these mountains, is called Monterrey. And it's the second biggest city in Mexico. It's a big ass, busy, smelly city. So I stay here as much as I can.
Oh, that's good. That's awesome. How long have you been there?
I went back to the States. So I was here in November and December, and I went back to the States for a couple of weeks for Christmas. And then I went to visit a friend in Guatemala, which is absolutely a very stunning place. And then I came back here in mid-January. And I'm about to go back to the States again for a little bit because I have an online course that I will be, the internet here is like really, it can be good one moment and then bad the next. And because the course is an immersion, so it's like 8 hours a day, I want to be in a place where I feel stable and have good internet, like just the security of it. And here isn't that place.
No.
But I'll come back. I feel like this is a somewhat of a home base for now.
Yeah. And when so you left Europe last year? Must have been.
I left Europe. I was in Ireland last October, and I came here the 1st of November last year. And I was in Ireland. I was in the UK, and I was in Ireland, and I had a bunch of scheduled retreats and events because at that time in the summer, things were a little bit. The restrictions had come off. A little bit. And so a few of the retreats that I had been scheduled to teach at or co-host were like yoga retreats, health conscious retreats. Were still like tentatively scheduled. So I went over there. I was nervous. That was like, it was really nerve-wracking for me. And then it all, like everything eventually got canceled, like dominoes falling, like boom, boom, boom. But it was, I was okay. I had a good time. I had to leave though. I really felt like the especially in the UK and Ireland, the climate around just the heaviness of the lockdowns, I really felt it, like the fear, the anxiety, so I'm not sure how it is in Denmark. I imagine it's lighter. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I
Like,
came over here where it's less, well, literally it's lighter, the sunlight, and people are more free. Like they're just kind of getting on with life.
oh, that's good. I feel a bit the opposite in Denmark. Like Danish people are really staying for themselves at the moment. And like and we're like today in February, like we're still in lockdown. It's like we're on third month. So like my restaurant hasn't been open for 3 months almost. And
Oh man.
yeah, it's been a bit hard and a bit crazy. But in the same way, like we're doing lots of stuff that we wouldn't have been able to do if
Exactly.
we weren't in lockdown. So we've been working a lot on our website, and like also for myself, like with these talks, like I'm having a bunch of talks with people like I kind of know and I've met like in the past maybe like 7 years of my plant-based journey. And now I'm trying to go a bit back and like talk to people again, and also maybe get to learn the like persons more, what they do. And also like I don't know, like you go plant-based and then you feel like that's a big step, but you kind of also it kind of opens up for so much more. And that's why like so I'm just out to like relearn stuff again, and that's what I'm using these
Love
like
it.
small talks and podcasts for. And just as I like sharing them with people who want to see them. So we're doing it through like the restaurant. So it's going to be on our website and on like all the podcast apps and stuff like that. Yeah, so that's what this is about. Like I'm bored in Corona times.
That's wonderful, man. I'm
Yeah.
happy you're doing. I'm happy. I'm really excited you reached out to me.
Oh, that's good. Because like I'm kind of here to like learn all the stuff, you know. I want to hear about like the yoga and where to start, but also the meditation and like what me as a maybe a business person could use this for in some way.
Mm.
I want to like dive down also a bit to in your story, like where do you pick all this stuff up that you teach? Uh,
Mm.
and like I think that's just where we should start off with like what started you, and how did you find out that meditation, first of all, just meditation I think is such a powerful tool for like the mind and the brain, but also like for daily practice. And yeah.
Absolutely. So picking up a little on my story and getting to this stage, and now I really agree with you about meditation, and it's a practice. It's like I started meditating daily around the same time I went plant-based.
Okay.
So going on 6 years, very close date, and is also very much aligned with my yoga journey. So to give some backstory, I grew up, was raised in a household where standard American diet was the norm. Like fast food was a norm. Fast food for dinner, whether it was, I'm going to name some chains in the United States: Arby's, Burger King, even like Subway and the healthier places, just like processed meats, processed crap. And I was totally addicted to that shit. And I was also very much like, food has been in a profound food. My relationship to food has been a profound journey for me. So when I left my house to go to university, I got out of the environment that was that I had been conditioned to eat a certain way, and also use food as a way of pacifying myself as an anxious young adult that was finding it very difficult to cope with my family environment, and just and to be food became my medicine. Food became my drug. In that sense, food was a drug. Food was an addiction. And so getting out of that environment helped me get some clarity and have some better boundaries around food. And I also put myself into a situation where I could really support myself in weight loss. So I was, because of that's how I was eating and that's what was my emotional state, I weighed in kilos 130 kilos.
Wow.
And yeah, and I was incredibly overweight. So my first really big transformation was the weight loss. And that started when I was around 20. Yeah. So 10 years ago, right in February, is when I started that journey. That's amazing to have this conversation is like a decade later. Wow. Okay. The first aspect of my health was to eat cleaner, to what the idea was of eating cleaner, and then exercise and fitness. And I figured out how to eat to lose weight. That doesn't necessarily mean it's the healthiest way to eat, but it was like less calories, less processed, less fast food, cut out the soda, like things like that I think like I would hope everybody can at least adopt a minimum of that. And then I started exercising. But what happened is I really fell in love with exercising. I really fell in love with movement, and that became the next drug to me in that capacity. So then it became a double relationship with food, which is evolving, and now a relationship with my health and fitness, which is evolving, all in this process of, Jeff, me becoming who I am and learning and discovering life and being out of my house, unraveling all the conditioning that I had around belief systems and everything like that. So I'm very lucky to have a disposition that's curious and open-minded and wanting to know what's best for me and try it and understand, which leads me to getting to a point where I'm physically, I've lost a ton of weight. Now I'm more curious about optimal diet, and I went down the path of Whole30, like the Whole30 challenge, which is really clean but still incorporates meats. I did paleo, and then I started listening to Rich Roll.
Okay.
Who's great because it's like a mutual connection between us. Yeah. When I met you and visited you in Denmark, Rich replied to one of my stories and said, "Go visit powered, what is it? The restaurant called?
Plant-powered food.
Plant-powered food, yeah. And I came in and he said, "Say hi to Casper," which was really cool because like I know Rich from the retreat.
Okay.
And that I went with him and Julie, which was that there's a story, we could do a podcast on the beauty that brought into my life and the connections I still have through the Happy Pair in Ireland and everything like that. But it was really cool for him to reach out to me and say, do this, because, we might know each other, but we're not that close.
Yeah.
And so that was special. And I got connected with you, but it was really this renaissance of education and a new way of listening for me in terms of health and wellness. And the people that Rich interviewed, especially the years where I was really into it, it really inspired me to shake off the life that I was living that was inauthentic to me and start following my heart in ways I had never done. And a big part of that was my mother passing away and my realization that a lot of the path that I had chosen so far was and to please my parents, to please society, to be the thing that I projected would give me the most love or appreciation in society. So luckily, when after reprogramming, listening to a different vibration for so long, I decided to quit that path, which was more academic. I was an engineer and everything like that. And it's a very watershed moment. It was very pivotal. It was like, okay, so I have this passion of health and fitness and wellness. And then here's this engineering master's degree I'm enrolled in, and I don't know what field of work I want to be in. And I really dread my classes and everything like that. And at the time I was studying at a university in France. And it was so I was walking back home from class, And it was just like, I looked this direction and I saw the opportunity of going into of what I loved. And then I looked the other direction and I felt the dread of what I was doing and what I felt. And it was just enough of a pivotal moment to just tear the fabric of my identity, my ego that was so latched on to continuing the engineering and wanting the significance to have a master's degree and the status of all of that stuff. And I said, okay, in that moment, I really chose health and wellness. I got to do it. And that moment led me to go to live in London in the UK. Like, that was a place I really wanted to go because I visited there, and the health, wellness, and food scene in London, UK, at least it was. Now it's a very depressed lockdown place at the moment. Hopefully it comes back to its vibrancy. London just shook my world. It's amazing. And it's one of the best, I'd say, for plant-based food. It's one of the best. It's the capital of plant-based food in the world. One of, if not the, in terms of restaurants and styles and the movement as well. Earthling Ed is one person that comes to mind. That's really catalyzing a lot of energy around making a shift. So anyway, I got serious about yoga when I moved to London. And it wasn't until then that I really was able to deeply download the difference between understanding things in my mind, because when I was in school for engineering and I lost the weight, I was still like internally unhappy, looking for something, really, really looking for something that I felt like I was missing. And it was really frustrating at times and really depressing at times. So I read a lot of psychology books, mindset books, self-development books, trying to understand how I can find this happiness or how I can sustain happiness or find meaning and purpose and really evolve into my purpose. And it wasn't doing it for me because I understood it all conceptually. And yet here I was still in a state of suffering, of seeing my patterns and not being able to evolve past them. But what really transformed my next big stage of transformation was the yoga practice, the system of yoga, which incorporates meditation as a part of it, and the community that I ended up working with and teaching for, the studio in London called the House of Yoga. So that was the next big transformational era of my 20s, where I really found this practice that I learned was a path towards that which I wanted. And it was a path that wasn't simply understanding it in my head and not living it in my body. It was a change. It was a complete change of my chemistry, of my awareness of self, of all these dimensions of me that I was still earlier not ready to explore. Now I'm ready to explore them. And yoga in its entirety as a encompassing system is a radical. There's a reason yoga has been around for as long as it has been around. Now, what we do yoga in the West is we do the physical aspect of it, but yoga in its entirety is a system of human development, evolving consciousness, awareness, and meditation is a part of that system. And the asana practice, the physical practice, is what gets us energetically, physically ready to be able to sit and meditate and be with ourselves and be with our thoughts and be with that person that wants to binge eat. That was me, that wants to run really far because it means something to him, or wants to do all these, to have all these neuroses. And like, meditation is sitting with that and then letting it come unraveled, in my experience. And so thanks to this yoga community, thanks to the support, the inspiration, I was so tired and frustrated with my habit of pressing snooze in the morning, snooze, until I had like 5 minutes to get up and get going, and I was starting my day rushed. And the first big change was, all right, I'm gonna meditate, and I publicly announced to the support group that we had at the yoga studio, I'm gonna start. We're gonna do this 40-day program. I'm gonna do 40 days of meditation straight. I'm gonna wake up with at least an hour and a half before I need to get ready to go. So it was a big gift to myself. I'd say the two biggest gifts I've ever given to myself since the weight loss would be creating morning space for meaningful practices, yoga, movement, meditation, journaling, things like that. So creating that meaningful space and going vegan. So those are the two biggest gifts I feel like I've ever given myself in terms of my well-being, who I've become, how I feel in my body, how I feel about life. My health is outstanding. Like I would say, I've not gone to a Western. I say Western specifically because I have been to like Ayurvedic doctors in India and things like that, but I've not gone to a Western doctor and I don't know how long. I really can't remember the last time. And I don't take any medicine. I don't even take supplements. Like I got it. And it's really empowering. So
What kind of medicine were you on before? Were you on stuff?
I've always been averse to medicine. But my mother I mentioned she passed away when I was 22. She was a victim, in my opinion, a very strong case for how our Western medical system can absolutely fail an individual and disempower them. And I saw my mother lose the will to live because she was so overprescribed, overmedicated, had no sense of her own agency and no sense of empowerment on how to feed and take care of her own body in a way that's supporting life. And I know that that's the case for millions of people around the world, especially in the United States, where there's such a codependency on a medical system. And what I've realized through my practices, and meditation is a part of this. It's like it's having the awareness to see through the bullshit and see like, okay, I can manage what I put in my body, and I know that if I take care of myself, ideally, I don't need the help of something outside me. Very rarely would it be the case that I need the help of an entity, to put the power back into somebody else's hands to tell me how to take care of myself. If I figure out how to take care of myself, if I get the degree of knowing myself, at least at the physical, emotional levels, I can live free of a system. Yeah. Free of a system that takes money, that takes time, that takes energy, and it's what I saw my mother go through, and what I went through with her as well, was just a complete failure. She would take responsibility too if she knew better, because it's ultimately our own individual awareness and waking up to our ability to be the force for our own life rather than relegating that to a system. That catalyzed me. Just that journey and seeing that was like, I've got to take back the power. I've got to do it myself. Yeah. And so medicine I was always adverse to, because I saw how drugs and alcohol and substance can be such a destructive force. I saw that growing up, and so I was always shy to take even drinking alcohol. I didn't drink until I was 23. I don't drink now. I don't really drink now at all. And anything to take to fix something, I've always been a little resistant to. So yeah, so medicine wise, I don't take anything, but I saw my mother go down that journey. Yeah. And then I went through a phase of supplements. This is the other thing. So it's like, supplements aren't, maybe not pharmaceutical medicine, but it's still like the idea that I can get something, a quick fix. I can solve the problem that I don't even think I have. Like the supplement industry is built on convincing people that they need to solve something that they really aren't aware of. Like you don't know what you're deficient in unless you go get a blood test. And even then it could be something outside of getting this certain mineral or vitamin in your system that's the issue. It's like, it could be because you're stressing out about this part of your life that you're not facing, that's creating your inability to absorb that vitamin or mineral, right? So it's the understanding the interconnectedness, which yoga and meditation, yoga is that. Like the yoga as a state of being is this knowing of interconnectedness. And so the realization, eventually unfolding, the realization that, hey, I can't just assume that because I'm deficient, or if I Google what's happening, and if I feel like this, and it's like, oh, you need this vitamin, here's the supplement, could have nothing to do with what I'm eating and digesting, with really it could be something to do with how I'm managing my life in some completely other way. So because they're connected. So it's like, all right, I'm going to throw all of that out, and just how can I be connected? How can I be connected, and how can I know myself? And the science of Ayurveda, which is in line with yoga, it's the Indian Chinese, it's the Indian version of what we would call TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. It's the Indian version of it, and Ayurveda is very linked with yoga and the elements and understanding ourselves energetically, um, and how the energy moves within us. So getting that understanding, starting to look at it from that perspective as a whole, and knowing how different things could have their impact on my life. It's like, how can I find balance? Period. I don't want to go for the quick fix. I don't want to be duped. I don't want to spend lots of money on the quick fix, and I did that. I spent plenty of money and plenty of time in my early fitness craze to be the fittest person around.
Yeah, but that
I did that.
is full of supplements. Like when you first,
What is it?
Like the fitness industry, like it's full of supplements when you first start into it, and then like
Yes.
you're lucky that you figured out that like it's not useful.
Exactly. It's a
Yeah.
waste of money. It's another business.
Yeah. Yeah. I was a bit curious on like the doctors, which is not using the Western medicine. Like, how do they approach people with their illness? Different.
Well, one thing is it's an approach of consider a wellness model versus an illness model of, if you learn how to take care of your body will take care of you.
And that's they think like that?
They think like that.
Wow. Okay.
It's looking at the individual as a system, an interconnected system with the environment on the outside and the environment on the inside. And if those can be congruent, then the body has no problem being in a state of health. Being in a state of health is a natural. This is the big upside down thing with Western medicine, is that in the East, being in the state of health is the natural state.
Yeah.
In the West, we're fighting to be out of a state of disease. So one is like, it's very obvious what we put I say obvious, but like through meditation, I see very clearly that what I put my attention towards, what I focus towards, that will expand. If I put my energy towards making something happen, or an experience or something, that will grow naturally, because it's watering seeds. That's the metaphor. Plant seeds, water them, grow, and it grows because our attention is there. So if I put my attention towards health and wellness, that's what flourishes. If I put my attention towards disease and sickness and illness, that's what flourishes. If we put our, whatever it is, attention there, it's going to expand because we're giving it our energy. Yeah. And every person is interconnected. We are also our own universe, in that way that we are creating our reality just by how we put our attention to things. So that's a big part of it. Is an Eastern doctor. I'll give the specific example of what it's like to visit Dr. Harsh. He's a Ayurvedic doctor in India, in Rishikesh, and he's the first one that really connected with me with the practice of and the art of Ayurveda. As much as it is a science, it's also the art of knowing oneself and being attenuated to the subtleties of life. And so walking into the office, first of all, there's a vibration there of peace and like, I feel really at ease. And I sit next to Dr. Harsh, and it's like, give me your hand, and we hold hands and we breathe, and he starts chanting a mantra and a prayer. And it's like immediately this level of attention that I've never felt from a Western doctor before.
No.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, because you're just a number. Like, if you know what I mean, like you come in and you say whatever is wrong, and then they do the Google
Boom,
for
here's
you,
your
and then they
prescription.
put, yeah. So like, of course, like just that small thing of holding your hands and like putting focus to the person already there, it gives a lot.
There's already healing.
Yeah.
So the biggest difference is health is already there. It's what can I do to sustain and nurture that health, rather than it being disease is already there. What can I do to prevent it? Or what can I do to undo it? So I would rather put my attention towards fostering health than getting rid of disease.
Hmm.
And the body will show us. The body is so intelligent. If we just let it show us, this is the other part of it, is like the manifestation of an illness. That's the body's final way of saying, look, you're doing something that's out of alignment with your nature. And that's another reason that plant-based diet resonates with me at such a deep level, is it's like it's as close to nature of a diet as I can get. And that what that has done for me is over years created a more sensitive me. I've created me through what I eat and think and experience, and what that has lent itself to is a more sensitive me that is even more aware, that can even be a more efficient feedback loop for how I take care of myself. And also just the general appreciation for nature, that it doesn't surprise me to see the way things are in cities right now, where people are locked in their small box, and
Yeah.
it's maddening. I think it's very destructive, because
Hmm.
people need to be out and breathe fresh air and be in nature and things like that, which is just as essential a part of health as any other medicine. It's that is a medicine.
Hmm.
So the how medicine is, how I use the word medicine would be very different than how most people think of medicine.
Yeah. So like, and like I agree. Like at the moment, like I am like so fed up being in the city, and but we like then I come with all my excuses that like I need to be close to work and all that. But like I'm like we have a small garden like an hour away from Copenhagen, so out in the fresher air, and
Mm,
it's actually funny because like I'm really into like the healthy eating and whole food plant based, but when I go out to the fresh air, like something else happens with my skin. Like my skin just clears up, and then I come back
mm.
to the city, my skin gets dry again, and it's so weird. Like, and probably not, but like I feel it's weird because I don't know, because a doctor wouldn't be able to tell me why like this is happening. But I believe that it's the fresh air. I think also it's like some of the pollution around the apartments and cars and trains and all that.
It's also, I would say, with Ayurveda,
Mm,
to take the Ayurveda model and apply it to what you're saying,
yeah, let's do it.
an understanding of is, so we are comprised of these five basic elements: ether, air, fire, water, and earth. Nothing revolutionary there. How we so Ayurveda is two pieces: one, intellectualizing it; two, embodying it. So there's a mind understanding of it, and then there's an intuitive understanding of it. So with the elements, we have to apply the intuitive understanding to it, and realize that fire isn't just physical fire. It's like the chemical reactions of our body. It's the digestion. Earth isn't just rock. It is the material coming together that form our physical body. Water is the movement within our body, the blood and the viscosity, the lubrication in our body.
Mm,
Air is also the movement in our body through our digestion system. The inhale, the exhale. It's the air. And so, what's the difference between being in in the countryside with nature and being in the city, for me, immediately is the amount of movement that's happening in the city around you in your mind. So thoughts are air quality. So when you're in the city, you're thinking about work, you're thinking about family, you're thinking about this, and so you're the population of little stresses or little attentions is so much greater than when you're in the country and it's just nature and it's just right.
Mm.
And so when our vata, which is this dosha, this quality of air and ether, goes up and out of balance, if there's too much air in your constitution, dryness is a natural response. It's a natural physiological tell that there's excess air in the system, excess air. And so it would be like, okay, how do I calm down, or how do I at the more subtle levels, am I overwhelmed with like things that are taking my attention, and that's creating the physiological response, right, of air. So it could even be like you said, the different climate and air pollution and everything like that. It also could be the way of being that you're experiencing in the country versus in the city, whereas one is more prone to this movement of thoughts, movement of ideas, movement of everything, and that creates excess air. Like it goes out of balance.
Yeah.
And then the dry skin would be the tell. It would be like, okay, so dryness, it could be this. So so then the Ayurvedic doctor would be like, okay, well, obviously you can bring more fats into your diet, avocado, coconut oil, nuts, things like that would promote the lubrication, the moisture in your system. But also, like, what could we do about this excess air that can bring it down in a way that is, and more like how you are in nature? And that, for me, it would be like a meditation practice, a grounding meditation practice, where you feel like calming things down, slowing things down, because the pace, again, back to the movement, is what could push that out of balance. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. Like, I think it does. But I always feel that like the meditation is really hard. Like, I don't know why. Like, I think it's hard to meditate, and I'm trying.
Sometimes.
Okay, but like, I don't know where to start. And I also, like, even when you said that, like, talking about your new morning routines, and like that would help for me so much. Like, that's what I'm thinking about, because that's probably also the time to do it, where I can't find the time to do it. I don't know what to think about, how to do it. Like, can you help me a bit on that? Like, as if I was like a student, or I don't know.
100%.
Yeah.
Happy to, and thank you for asking. So meditation is hard. Is it the finding time to do it, or the doing it that you find difficult? Or both? A little bit of both.
Probably both, but maybe most the second.
Okay, being in it. Okay,
Yeah.
so I would say let go, to support you, let go of any expectation of what you're trying to accomplish with meditation. So if it's hard, if it is uncomfortable, then that's the right experience in that moment. Trusting what you're experiencing. If you sit down, a few things that you can do to alleviate the externality of that is have a consistent time and space where you can show up and you can be and you can sit down. So when I say be, like, that's the hardest thing that we can do in the world today, because we are so adapted to doing. And that's great. Like, it's part of our society's structure right now, is like we want to do and achieve, and there's ambition, and that's like, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's the counterpart of that, which when we would need to find the inner balance, is the not doing, it's the being. And so the difficulty that most people would experience in sitting down and describing it as difficult is because their perception of what is productive, a productive meditation, is skewed because something needs to be happening or something needs to be doing, right? It needs to be working or whatever it is. And then there's the assumption or the idea that, oh, this isn't working or something like this. I promise, elevating the awareness to being an observer of this one who's having a difficult time meditating, if just simply being able to observe, there's already a degree of space. There's a degree of distance from the difficulty of experiencing it and just watching it without the attachment, without the judgment of this is difficult. And everything that I'm expressing right now is through my own experience of it being difficult. Because when I started, 5 minutes felt like an eternity. Staying still seemed like really frustrating to me. All of these things. And so that I often hear people getting into the practice describe. And I stand by my statement of the greatest gift I've given myself is to trust that there's something beyond that this isn't just a waste of my time. There's a reason this is here for thousands of years. There is something beyond that. And then becoming the observer, there's an awareness. Like there's the thoughts that we are experiencing and entertaining and thinking, and the fantasies and the ideas and the what we're thinking about. If we think about the past, there's that. If we think about the future, there's that. And then there's the present moment. And I like to share this story that before I got into it, I really didn't know what present was. I was 24, 23 years old, talking to my dad in the living room one day, and I had just read a book about psychology, a book about something that kept mentioning the value of the present moment. And I said, Dad, I was talking to him, I was like, this book keeps talking about the present moment. Like, what's so special about the present moment? Like, I'm here, aren't I? And I completely neglected the fact that my mind could be somewhere different than my physical body and the experiences that I'm having.
Yeah.
And so the present moment it's mindfulness, a practice of mindfulness of the attention, right? Our attention can be into our thoughts and expending energy into our thoughts, which could be good or it could be a waste of energy. Which for a lot of us is the untrained mind is just wasting energy. That's why people can feel so exhausted and not have anything to really show for it, because they're putting their attention is scattered all over the place. So coming back to where am I putting my attention, and then realizing, hey, there's attention that I can put into vision, into the future. There's attention I can put into healing something from the past or finding a new perspective on something in the past. And there's attention I can put right here. And those are three beneficial things I can do with my attention. But right here, the present moment, experiencing what is now, experiencing myself, sharing, talking to you right now, connect with my breath, whatever it is, that's the most powerful attention that we can experience, is if we get ourselves into our body and be in the present moment. And thoughts can be there, but that doesn't mean we're putting attention to the thoughts, right? Thoughts will be there. We are the discovery of that you'll have to make yourself, and then every person who goes on the journey, that you have to experience that I am not my thoughts. Yeah. The thoughts can be there, and they can be not me. They can be there. And then it's this awareness that, okay, there's thoughts happening. There's the great meditation metaphor of just thoughts or clouds in the sky. Watch them go by without the attachment to it. It's the thought of, ooh, I've got to do this. And then I spring into that, and then I start planning my day. And then 3 minutes later, I realize, oh shit, I wasn't present. I got to come. Here I come back to my breath. And it's also the very gentle coming back to the present moment, instead of the smack, frustration. Eventually even that frustration for me smooths out. Okay. Oh, I got caught up in my thoughts. Great. Come back to my breath. So difficulty in meditation is a part of it, and it is your path. Like the problem is the solution in this case. It's the path, the issue or the problem or the challenge is the path of whatever that difficulty is. Be with it, be present to it, notice where your attention is in that moment, and can, in that moment of grace of realizing the attention is somewhere else, bring it to your breath. And then I would also say, be very humble in terms of the practice. That's another thing. Like life continues to humble me every day. There's something that brings me right to the fact that I'm still evolving, still learning, still growing, still have so much I can bring forward, and I can heal in myself, and I can so much more in store for me in life. It's like life is incredibly humbling. So starting with 5 minutes, but the ultimate thing is creating that space that you talked about. That space is sacred, of this carved out time that I've consciously decided, committed to, and practiced and habituated in the morning is that is the gift. I choose to meditate in that time. I choose to do a breathing exercise in that time. I choose to journal in that time. But I made the space, and that space, creating that in my life, was a sheer act of will and discipline and desire to have it because of the value I saw in it. And it's the battle that everybody gets to fight through whatever you're used to doing with that time. Whether it's pressing snooze and then being in a hurry with your day, or getting up and immediately attending to the family or work or whatever it is, whatever we are used to and habituated to, we have to fight for creating that space. And that can be a struggle for the first 21 days, is usually the neuroplasticity. And Ayurveda knew this. Ayurveda for thousands of years has known what it takes to change habits. So 21 days to create wet cement in the mind of a practice of, okay, it's starting to stick now. 42 days of, okay, now the cement is dry. 60 days, you've got a new habit that's as sure as brushing your teeth. It's like it's going to happen. So discipline is a miracle, and in a lot of cases it can be, if we're very critical, it can be too much. So that's why I say start manageable, like humble, like 5 to 10 minute meditation practice, 10 to 15 minute meditation practice, of being the explorer of, okay, so if this is difficult, what's difficult about it? I'm physically uncomfortable. How can I sit in a way that's more comfortable? I'm emotionally uncomfortable. Okay, let me observe that. Let me notice what's coming up, and then I can journal about it. And if I can bring attention to what's emotionally uncomfortable, and I can journal on it, and I can get clear on it, then there's something to do. There's a possibility of changing the circumstance, or changing the perspective on a situation is one of the most powerful things that we have the capability of doing, because we don't have to lift a finger. If I just see it differently, then I can take away all the edge to something if I choose to see it differently, or if I want to change something outside of me. If I get clear on what that is and be very laser focused on making that change without wasting a bunch of energy, then I can be as efficient as I can, waste as little energy, be efficient in life, and that energy is reclaimed. That energy gets to be used towards the creative projects, which you're amazing, by the way. Like the amount of what you've created, and having a family, it's astounding. So I would give you so much credit for that.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks.
Yeah.
But
do you have any questions about it? Like anything specific? I've talked for a long time.
well, I think it's nice to hear you talk about it, because that's what makes me think. I can't stop thinking about my habits, and also how my failures past in life at some point. And I feel like when you talk about that, and talking about presence, I think that's one of the things I'm maybe not as good at is actually being in the present in some way. Because I'm really good at like analyzing like what I did bad and shifting it. And I'm really good at setting goals for the future and going towards a goal. But I probably just thoughts. I probably also miss the stuff in between because I'm so focused on this and I analyzed on the back that I forget sometimes that there's something here now that we need to focus on. Does that make sense a bit?
Makes so much sense. And me too. Like the hilarious part of all this is the infinitesimal shifts, the smallest shifts are worth it. So when I say, okay, I meditated pretty much daily, I've done intensive meditation programs, I teach meditation, I've lived and I continue to grow in my life of meditating. And some moments I feel like, oh my God, have I even made any progress? In other moments, there's the profound, peace of realizing how much I've progressed and changed. And it's, even if I had changed 1% with this effort, that 1% of being more present, it's enough. Like it's worth it to me. So it's the present moment is this infinite thing. Like it's absolutely infinite. And our mind, it's part of our rational mind has to cut such a very thin slice of that to make meaning, for us to be as we are as humans and to navigate the world logically. The slice of the present moment is so infinitesimally small of what really is there. And so when you consider like enlightened beings or something like that have really been able to drop that mind and be the infinite, be in the infinite, that's a profound experience that there's no going away from, and also no grasping. Like the idea of like wanting to grasp that is the mind, the controller, wanting it. So it's this very interesting problem that the mind problem, right? Already that word that the mind wants to solve, because the mind is so, and mind and ego can be synonymous in this case. Like the mind is so clever. The mind wants what it thinks is best, right? Except it's like trying to teach a fish what water is.
Yeah.
It's like you've been in it the whole time. We've always been present. It's so easy to miss it. And so the very idea of the mind wanting to fix it is the removal, being out of it. So what I would say for you is to get into your feeling. So you're a thinker, you're in vision. That is your superpower. You're awesome at creating and acting upon that vision. So what do you feel in your feet right now? Like, can you connect to the ground, take a breath, feel your chest expand, and take a deep breath, and then experience that even more fully the next time. Being curious to, this is a new breath. Like one of the things that I would always be curious about, slightly frustrated about, is when somebody would guide a meditation and be like, each breath is new. And I'm like, yeah, but it's a lot like the other breaths. Until I realized that, yeah, okay, each breath is a connection, if I pay attention to it, to the present moment. And it is absolutely singular in that way, unique in that way, each moment. So being present is a practice. All of this is a practice. All of it. So like what I would tell myself earlier on this journey is be where you are. Be where you are. Do it. Like accept where you are and continue practicing, because it leads to amazing things for me. So noticing where you're critical of not being present is also really powerful, because if you notice, then you're already 1 degree out of it. You're one step away from it. Instead of being critical, you're noticing that you're experiencing yourself as being critical, and then there's already a more ease in that rather than the experience of being critical. So present moment, some really profound books that you could read are Eckhart Tolle books about the present moment, the power of now. But at the same time, reading about it isn't the same thing. We can fill our heads with all the information about what other people say about the present moment. It isn't ours.
Yeah.
That's one of the big pitfalls of people who want this, is they want it with the ego. They want it with the mind. The mind wants to get it and have it, and it's not like that. It isn't to be had. It's to be played with, danced with, experienced. It's the right hemisphere, whichever side that is. It's the unconscious, deeper parts of ourselves that we are less familiar with. Many of us are less familiar with, especially if we're engaged in a doing personality, like a doing, and I'm like that too, but I want to find the balance, and the balance is profound when I have it. So your opportunity rests in resting and finding that present moment and really carving out that space.
Yeah. So if you had to guide me through like your morning, like really like strict, I was almost going to say, like, as like, do you wake up and then like what do you do, and then you go meditate? Or
I wake up, I brush my teeth, I scrape my tongue off, which is an Ayurvedic practice, scraping the tongue off. It's really good to know how the digestion is by what's on your what crap gets on your tongue in the morning. I drink warm water and I sit down and I meditate. This morning I did 3 rounds of breath work. And then I meditated. Sometimes I'll do breath work and meditate.
How do you sit, and what do you sit on?
On my bed, on pillows.
Okay.
And so even like, look, so even this, I wasn't. This is years of yoga and sitting like this, just to be comfortable to sit like this for however long we've been talking. Like my feet are not, my legs aren't asleep, but that's because of the circulation it knows this pathway. But if you're uncomfortable sitting like this, sit in a chair. But sit at least so that you have to put your attention towards not going back to sleep. That's why I brush my teeth and I drink liquid so that I'm awake. I know people that just rock up and they meditate, but for me, I need to be a little more alert than that.
So where's your hands? Like, where you?
On my knees. Palms can be up. So I'll do. Great question. I put my hands like in your face. Here's better. Like this. Can be here. This is the thing, is like, we think that there's a how to do it. It's like, where is it comfortable?
I think it's because the times I've been doing it, you, like you said, you become aware of yourself, and then like your mind also, my mind plays like weird thoughts. Is like, am I sitting right? Like, am I looking stupid? Like,
that's your critic,
right? Like, So I feel like just hearing like what you do makes my mind accept, okay, it's okay that I can sit like that in the morning as well.
Letting go of the rules. Let go of those rules. Let the process.
Even though I would think, like, if I would wake up at 6 or 5:30 and this was the first thing I would do, like, I'm already afraid of like what like my girlfriend would think of me. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, who's this, like, Casper sitting with his arms weird on his thighs and with his eyes closed. Is he sleeping or not? And I don't know, like this is the thoughts I get. And I think also these are the thoughts that makes me like not do it.
Hmm. What will they think of me?
Yeah.
Whoever
Even
they
though it's the
is.
people I see every day, but it's also maybe because it's the people I see every day that holds you back from changing, even though they want you to like do this. Because for sure I know that it would be a positive response, but then I need to deal with the response afterwards or something like that.
Can I offer that's so much of that is only you
Yeah,
thinking what they'll think
yeah,
instead of they could see your girlfriend could wake up and say, "Oh, he's meditating. How sweet. Let me meditate." Or maybe she does judge, but there's so much more of that judgment we're doing towards ourselves, thinking it's the other person. That's our own inner critic,
totally.
right? So the way one of the most efficient ways is to just do it and dispel.
Yeah.
Do it, do the thing, and realize that that's just noise.
Mm,
And it's a part of like owning, like, yeah, I own and respect the part of me that wants to do this for my reasons. Boom.
yeah.
And then that doesn't make any sense what the other person thinks.
No, that's true.
But I get it. I
Yeah.
totally get it.
Yeah.
I used to be self-conscious in so many ways. Going to work out in the gym, going for a run, running with my shirt off, huge one. Now
Yeah.
half the time my shirt's off.
Nice.
Things like that, and it's just a gradual. For me, it could be different for anyone, but for me, it's a gradual self-acceptance that has lent itself to not even considering. If I'm doing it and it's for me, then I don't consider what others will think unless it would have an impact on them. Then I can be quite considerate.
Mm.
But it's about that. Yeah. In this case,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, but I think that's a big problem in society, like what you think about yourself, because we also like push our like the youth and like
Yeah.
to always set goals and to always do the right stuff and to get grades in school and what does the teacher think and what does your coach think and all this. And I think what you do and what I'm maybe also learning is to like be in the present and feel happy there, and start not thinking about people judging you and getting that acceptance from them, and that's not what makes you happy. Because I come from sports and
Yes.
every week, and it's not even like single sports, because single sports you have a coach who goes in and coach you, but in team sports it's as if you're alone, but you have a coach who can say you're good enough or not good enough, and if you're good enough you play, if you're not good enough you don't play,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So every like I don't know,
Story.
or like since I was young, since I was like I think I started playing team sports when I was 6 and I stopped when I was 27. That's just been week after week has been like a coach judging, are you doing the right steps, are you doing the right shot, like can we do it better next time, like let's watch how you look when you do it, how can you do it different next time, like all this. And I feel like this has been like that's a bit of my journey, is to like unlearn this stuff a bit and not always thinking there needs to be like a big solution in front of me. Or yeah, so that's my journey right now, I feel like.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So, and also sorry,
one of the biggest fears I used to engage with is that if I simply allow myself to be, that nothing will get done.
Yeah.
And that I realized that was a big lie I was telling myself, because I thought if I let go of needing to control that thing, that I won't have it anymore, or that it won't, how to say it, that I'll lose the purpose, or I'll lose the passion, or I'll lose the drive. And that's not the case.
Yeah.
It only gets more clear and more efficient and more refined in that state of being.
Yeah. Yeah. I get you. And also, like, for me, like, with all this I'm trying to work myself out of, has also just made me so frustrated for so long in my life. Like, because every time you don't get selected, or every time you did it wrong, it's also like a frustration.
Mm-hmm.
So and that, for like, and I think, and that's also why I think this is a good talk, because for other athletes, like, I also think about other athletes and my brothers, and yeah, like, I hope if they see that like, you don't need to be frustrated just because it goes wrong. You can still be on the path to, like, for the solution, but you don't need to bring that frustration with you. You don't need to get angry if you're not selected. You don't need to get angry if you get a bad grade, because, like, that's the past. Like, how do you feel in the moment? And also, like, when something good happens, like, if you, like, when you win a game, and when you get selected, like, how can you be in the presence and enjoy that for longer? Because sometimes I would also just forget that, because that small enjoyment is not the big picture I'm trying to find. Yeah. So yeah. So I think, like, I wish that I did meditation while playing sports, and to kind of feel like I don't know, I would probably use it maybe as, like, rinsing out of all the frustration, and remembering that I'm here in my apartment with my kids or whatever, and this is just cool. Like, this is really nice, and
this is enough.
Yeah, this is actually enough for right now. I don't like, and then practices later. Let's take that later. Let's think about that later. And but right now, like, let's think about, like, what we're happy for. And I don't know, you can say, hopefully, I also think that having these thoughts is on the path of what we're talking about.
Of course.
So yeah. But yeah, like, I don't know where that thought was going on now, but
well, it's valuable, like, that. It's always valuable that we share our process.
Yeah,
because so many people can relate to what you just said. So many people that watch this will relate. So many of the things I've said is going to fly, like, people won't even hear it. But then what you just said, because that was from your heart, and the people that connect with you will be like, yes, I get it. And then and there's a reason I want to meditate, is to sit with frustration, or to move past frustration, and to put my attention not on what I lack, but what I have, and experience that experience of my attention.
Yeah, that's true. So what do you focus on most now? Is that yoga or meditation, or is it just like a yin yang thing?
What I focus on right now, this is for people listening and watching. I want to share that it's a very individual thing, and I want you to know that I've had my focus in different places at different stages in my life. Right now, I'm very much in the embodiment and feeling of my emotions, because much like you, I am a thinker. I like to think and vision and be in that element. And now I feel, even the language, I feel versus I think. I'm going more into understanding and being with my emotions and the experiences of my emotions, and how they move, how they so just as I am not my thoughts, I am not this feeling right now, and this will move. And so that is leading me to do a lot of to work with my teachers on therapy, and it's so amazing to have teachers and guides, like, especially in a spiritual journey. Yes, it's ultimately all up to what you're willing to take on, what I'm willing to take on for myself is where I will go. So there's no idea of a guru who's going to magically fix anybody. That's not true. But teachers and guides are like incredibly invaluable into supporting my process of experiencing emotions and going into, so a lot of that stuff that I talked about in my childhood, my relationship with my mother from an early age, like I'm going into that and I'm experiencing the moments I get triggered being I feel moved, I have a strong emotional reaction to seeing something, and recognizing how that relates to a pattern that I developed as a child in terms of relating to the home around me, and then allowing that to move through. So no understanding that that's energy, and it just simply needs to be moved and cleared. And then in the future, if I work and resolve and move that energy in that way, that the trigger diminishes and diminishes. The thing that moves me, whatever it is, no longer has that power over me, and I can be more at peace in my life. And so it's all become around, okay, how can I go through that? Like, it can be quite intense, it can be heaven, it can be hell, of embodying, of allowing myself to be in a process of feeling something intense. Like relationships are fantastic for this. Relationships, romantic relationships, close relationships, they bring up those things in us to be with. And so it's the golden opportunity to sit with it and realize it's going to pass away. It's going to move with this frustration or this judgment or this fear or anxiety, whatever it is, it will move. And so I spend, like, that's how meditation is. I sit and meditate every day, still do that, but that's how I bring it into my life, is I am paying attention to how I feel as much as I can be present. I'm paying attention to how my thoughts are, and as much as I can bring that back into, okay, how can I be more present, or what's taking me out of this present moment, and allowing myself to be with that. So it's my life and my work have merged in a way of, I'm teaching this stuff and I'm very much a student, and I'm a student of what is my life presenting to me to really be a teacher, so that I can support somebody like my teachers do and my guides do, so I can support, my clients, whether it's a yoga student, a meditation student, a coaching client, somebody who I'm wanting to support in any capacity. I make damn sure that I've walked that path. So understanding something that I've read out of a book, great. That's a great starting point. But I notice that if I've walked a part of that path, or I've walked that path for myself, I can connect much more deeply with somebody. I can meet them where they are and be present with them in a way that helps them feel that security of, okay, I can do this. This is what I'm working through, or this is what I want to change in my life. How would I go to the depth of myself to find that change instead of a superficial change? Because we're so, like, it's the pills, it's the medicine, it's the quick fix. Like, we love a quick fix. But, I'd have to tell the person, the reason you're smoking and you beat yourself up for it and you really want to quit for years isn't to do, yes, it's an addiction, but there's something you're underneath that every time you smoke, you're taking away yourself from feeling that. So it's like, okay, how can I engage more closely to what's alive, what's present? And then the other piece of what I'm working on is like a lot of language. So the feeling and the experience and the embodiment of it is the alchemy of, okay, I put my awareness and what I know in my mind to what I feel and what is less thought material. And I try to understand that, but sometimes it's not understanding. It's about moving it's about trusting that the energy will move. And so there's that aspect of it, of my work, and also the very conscious, like, what I'm saying, the words I use will move my attention around. So I pay careful attention to how I speak because I want my words to help me be even more aligned to where I'm putting that attention, and what is my intention with how I'm trying to live and show up right now and create whatever it is. And also marry that, that focus with what's really happening with me, what's holding me back, and is it holding me back because of, I'm not good enough, or is it holding me back because it's exactly what I need to look at so that I can be propelled forward? Like, is it showing me what I need to look at instead of what my mind thinks I should be doing? That's a great word to recognize, is what I think I should do versus what resistance am I facing? And am I being a baby by feeling that resistance, or is that something that I can learn from that? It's like understanding the language of my critic, of the one that's judging me in the moment, and then being curious and and trusting that I can unravel that without having to force myself to do something that feels authentic in that moment. So I'm in a stage. Thanks for asking that question, because it's like this is a new phase for me it's more out of my comfort zone than I've been in a while. So it's really interesting. It's certainly interesting, and I look forward to the fruits of this process that I'm in. And so that's what I put a lot of my attention to. But I do my morning practice, however that looks. I still am so into movement, whether it's yoga, running, going to the gym. I love all forms. I no longer judge a one movement style as the right one. It's like, what do I want? What's going to serve me?
Yeah.
And being in nature and eating good, clean food. That's all the things I'm up to.
Yeah. That's some
working
healthy
on
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long are you going to stay in Mexico? Do you have an idea?
No idea.
Nice.
In February. Hello, February. I'm going to go back to the States. I mentioned this briefly. I'm going to go back to the States for an online course to just have the security of good internet and everything. And I do plan to come back here, and then I don't know how long I will stay.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll just see what the way that the restrictions and lockdowns and everything has definitely influenced my movements, but this is a place I know I quite like, so I'll come back to here.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to.
You come visit me.
Yeah, I would love to do that, especially with those mountains there, man.
Yeah. Climbing is all over here.
Yeah. And is that like what are you living in? Is it like just a small, I don't know, like
it's a cabin. So I'm living in a venue in the middle of the park, and it's my friends who own it and operate this venue.
Okay.
And they have they do a lot, like it can be, people can host birthday parties or weddings or things like that, but also like meditation or yoga retreats, or this place is very well known for the shamanic ceremonies, plant medicines of like cacao is quite common here. Peyote, which is a psychedelic cactus that grows in these mountains all over. If you ever get into books by Carlos Castaneda about the kind of path of a shaman, or the path of a spiritual aspirant in this part of the world that is influenced by a lot of the plant medicines and a lot of like relating with animal spirit guides and things like that. There's I'm going off on a tangent. Like that's the kind of spiritual work that's happening here that people would go to, Temescal is a sweat lodge. There's a sweat lodge out here
Okay.
where we are, and would do like a ceremony and go to the sweat lodge and get your ear tips burnt. It's hot. It's like sauna. It's like a hot sauna, and there'll be a facilitator, a person who's leading it and doing the chanting and the praying, and it's a lot of it is connecting with the elements and nature.
Yeah.
So that's the venue I'm at, and I'm lucky to have here. I could just live here for quite cheaply, and I have great friends here as well. And I'm pretty much 80% of the time, 70% of the time, the only one here.
Nice.
And I got these big, beautiful mountains, and it's good for long walks and things like that.
What do you do for food there?
There's a really great vegan place called Taller Veganico that I go to often, and there's a really great salad place called Chuga that I go to. And then if I get and it's like you get this big ass salad with all these great things, and it's, again, the food is cheap here, which is like one of my favorite things. And avocados, obviously, the fruit and avocados and things like that are super fresh relative to like places in the United States or Europe. It's the avocados are like boom from here. So I make lots of guacamole, eat lots of tostados, which is like a round, big round, before they make a tortilla chip. It's just a tostada.
Okay.
Which is corn based, but and there's some health food shops that I get some nice food. What else? Frijoles, which is beans, lots of that. So I'd get I would like, huh?
Is it like fried beans?
Yeah. So a quick, delicious meal would be like avocado, frijol, beans, and the tostadas, and just eat it. I also I do overnight oats for breakfast. Chia, oats, spirulina, cinnamon, and then I'll blend that with a banana and put some granola on top. Oh, making me hungry. Get some good granola here.
Yeah, because
that's what I do for the food.
Right? Like it's morning for you.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are you doing the rest of the day?
I have a few calls the rest of the day. It's funny because this particular time I overbooked it I triple booked. And I was like, how in the world did I have 3 appointments at this? I've never done that. So I had to send some messages and say, hey, I've got to reschedule. And
thanks for that.
So today I've got a couple more meetings. I hurt my toe yesterday. I was being very playful, and I either fractured one of my bones in my feet, maybe even broke it or sprained it, but it's like really painful today. So I don't know how much activity I'll get up to. Hopefully it heals very quickly.
Yeah. If it's a toe that's broken and if it's straight, then it's just waiting.
It's straight.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, dude, thank you for saying that. I don't need to go to a Western doctor now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of straight.
It's sort of straight. Well, it's sort of straight is okay. Like I've broken so many fingers and toes and legs and stuff playing sports that just a hit to the toe or something, like maybe put some tape on it, then you're good.
Yeah.
Well, that's good, man. Like, thanks for having this talk with me. It was
my pleasure.
A big pleasure from my side, and really
ditto.
Really learning a lot. Thanks for being a part of my journey to learn about this meditation and getting away from my old coaches in my head and stuff like that.
If you want, you might or might not know, but I have a 30-day program that I guided that you can use. It's free. Okay. Anybody can use it. It's
nice.
If you go on my website and just click the free meditations,
what's your website called? Just for everybody.
Jefe Living. Jefe, Jefe living.com.
Yeah.
Jefe is a nickname.
Okay.
My name is Jeff, and people call me Jefe, but Jefe in Spanish means boss, it's like kind of funny.
Yeah, El Jefe.
El Jefe, yeah. But for me, it's like, it's self-reliance, it's self-ownership, boss. Like, I'll be the boss of myself. So living as, responsible. So the meditation program 30 days. I'm in the process of recreating it with a better audio quality because I did that one 4 years ago
Okay.
with my Apple earplugs, and you can hear, sometimes you can, and I don't want to tell anybody this because they'll listen for it, but sometimes you can hear my beard
Yeah.
scratching on the thing or whatever. But it's helped a lot of people, and it's inspired me to recreate it now. And I have also a digital booklet and a physical booklet that goes with it that incorporates journaling as a practice, reflecting, to help even more stabilize the meditation practice. Writing is a powerful practice consistently as well. Bringing down all the busyness here onto paper and seeing it in concrete makes things a lot more simple a lot of the time. So yeah, do that. And then the other thing I say about that is do it for 30 days.
Yeah.
Do it for 30 days because then it's like it's the right dosage of, okay, now I can see what meditation can do for me. I can get past that. It's enough time for, I think, just about anybody to get past the initial reservations of meditating, of am I doing it right, of whatever it is.
Yeah, nice. I'll check that out, of course. And I think I'll also do like lots of links so everybody can find the stuff I can find.
Thank you. Yeah.
So yeah, of course. I think like I'll probably need to get back home because this is right in supper time here.
Enjoy dinner, man.
Yeah, thanks. So we're going to just watch a movie, maybe have some supper, and
family time.
Have family time, yeah. So
sounds wonderful. Would you tell your dad and mom hi for me?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It was great to connect with them, and I see your dad always kicking butt on social media, so it's inspiring.
Yeah, no, he is really inspiring. And also they're doing a run every day in February.
Amazing.
Yeah, because they signed up for some ultra marathons in this year.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
One more thing I admire them for, the ultra runs. Like I want to do that one day when I'm ready. But yeah, so they're just running slow for a long time.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
beautiful.
Yeah, thanks for the talk, and hope we can talk to each other soon again.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you. My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. See you, Jeff.
Take care, buddy.
You're always on your phone, and you never so near. And the things you say are often in my head. It makes me feel alone, something I fear. But now I'm in so deep and I can let you go. Show me love and I'll show you more. It seems to me you only lie. And I tried so hard to make you want to see someone else can never be like me. Well, let me in, let me go. And so my heartbeat plays to your song.